cannot believe Ali is safe this week. Big Brother UK episode 13 and Lily is squealing again. I used to act like this when I was 11. And in the past videos I've been saying Lily's 21. Excuse me, I actually have been making a mistake, she's 20 years old. Does that make it better? I don't think so. Everybody in that house is babying her and they're like, oh, she's so cute, she's so cute. She's allowed to have kids. She's literally allowed to reproduce. She's allowed to vote and opinionate about the future of the country. She's allowed to get married. And she's acting like this. It's so concerning to me. And the fact that the people in the house are like, oh, she's so cute, she's so carefree. Can't stand it. When Lily isn't acting like this, I actually find her quite funny. Like when she's in the diary room, I quite like her. And even last night when she was screaming and doing everybody's head in, Nathan was like, oh, it's all fake, it's all an act. And I know that he didn't know her outside the house, but he obviously spends a lot of time speaking to her. But Days on the Late and Live show seems to think that she's being her genuine self. Let me know in the comments, do you think this is a game or do you think she's really like this? Keep in mind that when Nikki Graham was on Big Brother, everybody was like, it's an act. But it turned out that she was really like that. She was in Big Brother several times. She was in Big Brother Australia years later. She wasn't as bad, but that really was what she acted like. But I felt like Nikki Graham did it in a way that was actually funny. But nothing about her screaming and squealing is funny. It's literally just like watching a child. Last night when she was trying to find clean clothes, she was smelling all her clothes and she's like, oh, I've not wore this, I've not wore this. And Dean was like, oh, it's actually tiring watching you do that, right? And I thought, why doesn't she just wash her clothes? It's not that difficult. Like, even if they've not got a washing machine, surely she can just put them in the sink and give them a swirl round and freshen them up instead of going through all her clothes and looking for something clean. I couldn't even be bothered with that. So I never really thought I'd be making a video actually defending Marcello because I think he's a complete skis bag. However, last night they were talking about sex and he was saying this is the longest I've ever gone without sex. And okay, some people are prudes and they don't want to talk about stuff like that. And some people are very conscious that their parents are watching. Because I wouldn't like to talk about stuff like that if I thought my mum was watching, which she wouldn't because she hates Big Brother anyway. But then somebody asked him about if he gets up to stuff in the shower, and Ali went mental about it. And she was like, oh, we can't talk about this because I could get stricken off. And I thought to myself, this is strange because on the Late and Live show, they said that she says that men should have a curfew. And at the time I thought, surely she could be stricken off for that because if a man had her job and he says a woman's place is in the kitchen or women shouldn't be working and they should just be home looking after the kids, then the women would be fighting to get them stricken off. But because it's a woman, it's alright. Typical. So anyway, Marcello wasn't even the one who brought up the shower conversation, and Ali was like, oh, I know the things that we talk about that I could be stricken off for. And I thought, you never watched the show. People talk about way worse things than that. Maybe you should have thought about that before you went into the house. Like if she to say to me, oh, I could be stricken off, I'd be like, alright, cool story, mum. Sorry, mum. So Marcello took her out into the garden to have a conversation with her, and she says, oh, I think it's rich or whatever it is that you've brought me out to get me in trouble. And he says, I'm not, I'm just saying like I felt like you attacked me. And then she was saying, oh, well, I know the things that I can be struck off for. And I was like, do you know what, Ali? Nobody actually gives a fuck, to be honest with you. If she should have watched the show before she went in, she would have known that this was going to be the situation. So should everybody now pussyfoot about her because they're like, oh, Ali's got an important job, we better not talk about sex. Fuck you, Ali. Keeping in mind, right, that I think that Marcello is an absolute skis bag and he does talk about sex too much. And even Days is saying that all the girls in the house are getting sick of him being sleazy. But it's just the fact that Ali's now trying to control the narrative in the house, like how everybody's acting, what they're talking about. Like, fucking stand up and walk away if you don't like it. So it came time for the HOH challenge, and the housemates had to go into a room and smash the picture of whoever they didn't want to be HOH, and Khaled chose Lily. Fair. I would have chose Lily as well, but if Ali's picture had still been there, I'd have just fucking smashed the fuck out of it. There is no way I would have wanted her in charge of anything, especially after the conversation with Marcello. And you know what? Ali's actually stunning. I love the colour of her hair. She's got a beautiful face. She's got a stunning body, but on the inside it's just, it all fucking goes to shit. So in the end, the housemates left over were Ali and Dean. Understandable. I think that Dean is one of the only people in there who's actually got a brain in his head. He can follow basic instructions. He can do these very, very simple tasks. You know what I mean? Like, they've made these tasks for people who have got 2 brain cells to rub together. And he seems to be one of the only ones who can follow these instructions, not break any rules, and actually do things properly. So I wouldn't have smashed his picture either. But Ali, I know she's going to be able to follow the instructions and everything, but I just fucking can't stand her. So Emma, Sarah and Ali were in the corridor talking about Lily screaming, and Emma was like, oh, she's doing my head in, I just wanted to tell her to shut up. And I'm like, why didn't you then? Why didn't you? Emma seems like a very forward person, but the problem is that nobody wants to get involved in confrontation. Like, okay, you don't need to go, Lily, shut the fuck up, you fucking stupid bitch, before I kick fuck out you, right? Okay, maybe that's too far, right? Maybe we need to take a step back. But what they could say is, Lily, do you want to stop? Lily, you're doing my head in, will you please stop that? Lily, do you want to not act like a 5-year-old? It's embarrassing now, you know? Work your way up. So Dean and Ali were told about the secret room, and Ali was like, oh, did Khaled know about this? Oh, he kept that a secret. It was part of the task, Ken. It's not difficult to understand. They had to put the housemates into pairs, and they were like, oh, let's mix the house up a bit because some people don't really talk, it's like a little bit cliquey or whatever. Okay, fair enough, right? It's very clear that they want Marcello out, but I was surprised that Dean was saying, oh, we need to protect Lily. Why do we need to protect Lily? For what reason? So originally they'd put Marcello with Baked Potato, and Dean was like, oh, do you know, I don't think that she deserves to be with him because we're obviously surmising that if they're in pairs and they're going to be put out in pairs. And then it was him that chose Khaled to go with Marcello. I was shocked, right? Like, what have I missed here? I don't know if he finds him a threat. He did say when he went into the room to smash the pictures, he's like, oh, this person's like one of my biggest threats. So he's obviously in there, he wants to win the money and whatever. And that's totally fine because Big Brother's a game and that's part of it. But I just didn't understand why he wanted Khaled out when all that stuff happened with Bagelgate, with Izaz. I would have thought that he'd have put they two together, but then Ali was like, oh, I feel really bad because we've been trying to make up. Took zero persuasion, right? If she really felt bad, she'd have been like, do you know what, maybe we should put up Izaz, maybe we should put up like somebody else, but she didn't. It was just like, oh, I feel bad, you're fake as fuck. Fake as fuck. Can't stand it. Now, Big Brother has obviously been on the phone to Big Brother Australia asking for some advice because he was like, oh, this'll be your dirty little secret, like nobody's going to find out. And then when he was telling the housemates who the pairs were, he was like that, oh, Ali and Dean chose it. Big Brother's getting evil this year, I love it. Hopefully if I get into Big Brother next year, he's even more evil. There's just something about it, it makes it so much more exciting. So Nathan and Baked Potato, they're cuddling, and then he's whispering to her and she's like, okay, winning the kiss, right? So I was sitting watching this with my pal. They've been watching this with me, right, and they still didn't even realise that this was going on between Nathan and Baked Potato. And they kissed and they were like, what the fuck? What's going on? Like, they were actually in shock. Everybody thinks that this is fake, and I genuinely think it's real. I think the two of them really like each other. So Little Miss I Can't Be Fake is talking about Baked Potato in the diary room, and she's saying, oh, Baked Potato doesn't want this relationship to be a big deal, but she's the one making the big deal out of it. That's because she doesn't really want to draw attention to it, so when people are talking about it, she feels awkward, and she feels like the only way to get out of it is to leave the room. And I do get what she's saying. It's like, not that much of a big deal, nobody really cares. It's not like a showmance in Big Brother USA where it can influence people's votes. But the fact that she sits and goes, oh, I can't be fake, she's a fucking... I need to meditate. So tonight we're going to see the nominations, and I am so excited because there's another twist coming up. Let me know in the comments if you think the right people became HOH, and I'll see you again tonight. Bye!